Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Randomized Zelda. Don't ask me why the intro is weird. I've never entered a Let's Play like that, but hey. Or, not recently. I might have at the very beginning. I can't remember. Okay. That's that one. That's that one. So we're on one. Okay. Everything should be good for you guys. Yep, it looks like everything's good. Let's get going. Now, if I remember right, well, we're actually in a totally different area than what I wanted to be in. Because we're Kid Link. Well, let's see how much I can remember. Oh, let me set up my controls. Forgot to do that. That one. Load map. Yep. Yep, done. Resume. Okay. So, we did defeat the Deku tree, because that's how we got access here. We got our base one, so we know some basic things. How many bombs do we have before I go off? I don't recall if we did the Bombachu challenge. And we must have gotten to Zelda. So what we really need to look for is bombs. That's literally the thing we're looking for right now. Because if we get bombs, we can open up that. Either that or a bottle with a letter. Which we don't have. So yeah, we don't have the bottle for the letter either. So. And let me speed run this. So I'm not. Yes, it is cool, 45 gunner. Okay. So, we also got the next level up in wallets, which that's nice. It's just, it's hard to, like, coming back to a randomized game, it's very hard to know where and what you've done. So I might loop back on myself a little here, but it's at least to just double verify. Yep, we got that. Awesome. Let's check quickly what's in the stores. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything there. I'm pretty sure there wasn't anything. We have everything we need. We could do the first mask, I believe. Megaton hammer, hot container. That might be something worth buying. Okay. Let's go see about what's in the next store. Before we buy the hot container, because I do want to do the Bombachu one. Can we get magic? Oh, we can't get magic anytime soon. We could get a Epona song, but it doesn't help us any right now. We could take the risk. Nope. How about the other one? Nope. Oh, 0 pounds. I was like, what did it say 0 about? That was weird. Okay, so I don't know. Have we done this? I don't know. And doing 2 at once doesn't help it well either. Let's see. Let's see. I'm imagining we didn't because I don't like this because I'm really bad at them. And of course, as soon as I start streaming, dogs bark outside. But there we go. There we go. Okay, let's get this one. Well, we're not losing money yet. But gosh, this is gonna be boring if I can't hit these things. Yep, we lost money. There we go. There we go. Oh, it's 2. I thought it was 1. I thought if you miss 1, you get it for free. Apparently, if you miss 2, you get it for free. That's good. I really don't want to waste. Okay, I failed at that one. That was just all me. We're gonna have no money. But I'm imagining I was smart last time and opened up the infinite rupee event. Oh, come on. 2 more. Yes! Nope, okay. We cleared that. So that's good to know. I thought we did. I wasn't sure. I'm pretty sure. If I cleared that one, I most likely cleared this one, but I think I was having issues when I got here. Oh, that's worth something, so let's do it. Okay. I did that at the wrong time. There we go. Or am I gonna go straight, left, right, left? Did I get it? I think I got it. Ooh, that was a close one though. There we go. Let's see. Stay out of my way, stay out of my way. Yes! I got Din's Fire. No, I didn't. Don't lie to me, game. But I got a Scorchula token. That's good. That's good to have. Oh yeah, I remember this game. This game is the one with the $1 billion whenever I get a Scorchula. Okay, so I got everything except the Scorchula here. So let's get our money back now. And then we'll continue. Where can we go? I can go there real quick, check that. If we really wanted to, I could try to see about breaking the logic in this game. Well, of course you get in the way, chicken. Get out. Get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way! Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Okay, I'm gonna wait until this chicken gets out of the way because it's literally just walking up and down the middle. Thank you. Stay out of the way, please. I love my luck. Yay, everything's great. I didn't get the Din's Fire though. The game's lying to us again. Okay. Let's buy ourselves that heart container and continue on our way. Even though we got the double hits, so the heart container is really not necessary. Let's just get it, have it out of the way. Oh, you know what we really should do? I don't know if that's randomized. Let's do that first, guys, because that might be what we need to do next, because I don't know if that shop's randomized. But I do have Bomber Juice, so this shop opens at night, or is it the next one over? No, okay. It's one of those two, and I believe it opens at night. Okay. Let's go here. Try and think of all the stuff we could do. Because we're gonna spend an entire night here, so at worst, we're kind of just SOL. It's just gonna be an SOL. We're just gonna have to spend an entire night here. I did not see those there. Okay, let's think about this. Think logically. Nope, you gotta sing a song. Oopsie. Must have forgot that one. Okay. What is that? That's the temporal time. So, do we have the ocarina? I don't think so. Yes, we do. Well, we waiting here. I'll just sing the ocarina song whenever it's time. We can adventure forth. I think I'm gonna take the chicken down the river and see where that goes. I don't know if I've already done that. If I haven't, us having money is gonna be good because then we could stop and get. Actually, that's actually a really good place. Let's go there instead. Instead of spending money, let's actually possibly net some profit here. There we go. Oh! And we rescued that one person's dad, so let's save. And people who are hardcore Zelda fans are like, you don't know her name? I'm like, I know it starts with an M-A-L-O-N, but Malin? I think it's Malin. I think the pronunciation's Malin. Oh, I don't know how much I've done or not done here, though. That sucks. So we're gonna find out. Also, I think she'll give us a song? That's a neat beat on this ranch. Okay, let's go. I don't know how you trigger her song, though. I think you just pour out the ocarina. Or you talk to her or pour out the ocarina. I think it's you talk to her, she tells you stuff about like her work, then you pour out the ocarina. Yep, there you go. Okay. And we freeze to death. She put a curse on us, we freeze to death. Okay. So there's that. Let's see, did we get the Scorcher here? There's actually so much we haven't actually explored yet, so let's actually explore a little bit here. How many of these do we have? Have we gotten enough to consider it? No. 3 more. Okay, awesome. Let's go do this chicken game. We got more than enough money to warp to the graveyard. That's how that dialogue was supposed to be, I'm almost certain. Nope, come here. Nope. 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 Oh, yep, there we go. And I think it's this one. This one. Nope. There we go, we did it! LOL? What are you LOLing about? Yes, I'd like to keep it, I think. Yeah. Oh no. This entire family's trying to kill me. Okay. So, we did that. We can do that, we can do that, we can do that. We can hop out, come back in, kill the 2 Scorchulas, collect their stuff, kill the 3 Scorchulas. What am I thinking? There's 3. Kill the 3 Scorchulas, come back in. Be good. It'd be good. Right? I think so. I think we'll be good. Okay, 1. 2. 3. Okay, we should have more than enough money to deal with all 3 of these on an average base. We got a song. What song did we get? We got Zelda Lullaby! Awesome! We're gonna go back to Hyrule Castle very soon. That's great. That opens up Hyrule Castle, that opens up Zora's Domain. We're gonna rock that. Hover boots don't help us much. I mean, it's nice to have now, but it's not that much. Oh my gosh, hover boots were expensive. Okay, so we need to make note that we need to come back down here. There's 1 more left to buy from. Apparently he's super expensive. Or actually, hover boots were super expensive. But Zelda Lullaby is great. It's gonna give us... I think it even can give us a song in the graveyard if I remember everything right. That's why I mixed up the dialogue. Because if I had the dialogue as clues, I would know exactly what I need to do. But not knowing exactly what I need to do all the time makes this a little bit more fun. Oh, I had it. There we go. Bombs? I see a bag. What is it? What is it? Bombs! Awesome! Guys, we should have stopped here first. Actually, no, we couldn't. We needed to get the weird egg, so... Now we had the weird egg, we're set. So, after this, we're gonna... Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna leave here, come back in, once nighttime falls, kill the 3 Scorchulas so that we can almost completely wipe out Lon Lon Ranch. And then we're gonna go from there. We're gonna go to Hyrule Castle. We're gonna play ourselves to Hyrule Castle. We're gonna rescue Richie. Gonna do the Great Fairy. We're going to check the bomb shop, see if it's randomized items. And if all that's true, or after all that, then we're going to go to the Dongros Cavern, complete that, get our next medallion or stone, and hopefully we'll have everything we need to do Jar Jar Belly, or whatever the name is. There we go. Totally forgot. I got you up here. Where are you? There you go. There we go. Boomerang. There we go. Was that another song, guys? I saw a note. This is the longest dialogue for this note. What song did we get? We can do the desert. Oh, we can do stuff in the desert. And because we have 2 songs now, we can also come back from the desert. Awesome. So we can actually go do that. Man, this is lining up nice. We're getting everything we need right now. This is lining up real nice, guys. Okay, let's kill this guy. Another heart piece. Awesome. I actually don't know this, guys. You guys might know. How many heart pieces, like 4 heart pieces are there, and how many partial heart pieces are there? Okay. Okay, just wanted to kill them all before trying to do this. What was that? What was that? It wasn't a song, it wasn't an item. That's strange. I have no clue what item that was. Okay, so everything in Lon Lon Ranch as child we've done. Everything. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm blind. We got magic now. That's what it was. Why am I running back? What do we want to do? We got magic. Nothing, really nothing we can use magic for right now. So let's play this. Left, right, down, down. There we go. Do I want to buy some bomb and cheese for 90 rupees? Sure, buy it. We're in the Temple of Time, guys. Okay, so let's get out of here. Go get that rock and roll. Yes. This is great night. Great night, great night. Come on, doggy, doggy, doggy. Come on, follow me. Thank you. Let's do this person real quick. Then we'll check the bomb shop. Then we'll check Great Fairy. And then depending if it's daytime, we'll go do the cavern. If it's not, we'll go to the desert. Yep. Every person I talk to kills me. I think there's a theme going on. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, whoopsie, forgot I was gonna check the shop. This is the treasure chest shop. We're not gonna do that just yet. I'd much rather have the lens of truth than try to guess it. I have guessed it correctly all the way through though. But it's a tough one to do. Yes, okay, cool. Cool. Some keys to the temples. Some bombs. Okay. Literally nothing we really needed. But it's good to at least know where 2 Scorchillas and 2 keys are. Keys are going to be the tough thing, guys. When we become an adult and we actually start doing that, it's going to be tough getting all the keys. There's just that's really what's gonna scare me, is having to find all the keys. The items aren't too bad, like we're walking through the items, but once we open the dark door and we finally are allowed to become an adult, it's gonna be problematic. It's gonna be quite problematic quite quickly. Okay, let's use our new bombs. There we go. But as a kid, we don't have to worry about keys. We don't have to worry about keys at all. Okay. We need to know what Zelda's lullaby is. Down over A, down over A. That's not hard at all. Other than my controller's A is not the right A. And more keys. All the keys. And I didn't get demonetized for the creepy half-dressed lady. That's always a plus. Okay, it's still nighttime. I need to first know the song, and then we're going to the desert. That's not desert, that's desert. Ooh. Okay. Left, up, down, right, up. Okay. Left, up, down, right, up. Do, 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 do. Do you understand your destiny? I think we understand our destiny. To the desert! And we're here. I don't think there's much we can do here just yet. Like outside the area. But we definitely can do a lot in here. I also don't know if this is standard or master quest, so it might be a little confusing for me. If it's standard, there's a lot we can do. Okay. First things first is let's not lose our shield, please. Please and thank you. Ow. Whew! Close. There we go. Okay. Oh yeah, that thing in the middle, I have to kill it. Let's see, can I... No. No. Does this work? Yes, it does. Dang it. Okay. One. Okay. Come on. There we go. Okay. What am I doing? Other than wasting bombs. I have bombardiers. They'll target him directly. Now. if I'm on level ground. There we go. Sometimes you have to think with porters. Okay, let's keep going. Dang it. Wait. Again, not thinking logically. I have a weapon that's of infinite value that will immediately numb. Dang it. There we go. Dang it. Aha. Guys. My controller's gonna kill me, guys. Whew! There we go. There we go. Okay. There's nothing I really can do to prevent that noise, but just deal with it, please. Thank you. Please and thank you. Let's kill you. Okay. Then there we go. Okay. I do want. There we go. I'm trying to think. Okay, I remember how I need to do this. I was like, how did I get around this one last time? Okay, and our first freeze of the night. So awesome. So happy. Luckily, I don't think anything really helped us. I guess we have the song, we can just quickly... Oh no! Awesome! That's nice. Because this is a temple, so yeah. So we reset our spawn point to a Warsaw spot, I guess. But, hey. Each their own, I guess. Okay, do we have to fight him again? I hate my life. Come on. Okay, come on, come on, come on. Ow. Okay. And of course the game's wanting to kill me. Don't let me target the thing attacking me. Nah, never. Okay, we're gonna switch how my controller works right now. Because I'm getting tired of jumping against the wall when I want to jump forward and attack. Thank you, please. Oh yeah, the controller. Ow. That actually gained us life. That's hilarious. I know it sucks. I'm sorry, I'm not a good enough player. I'll try to improve. It's really because of how the N64 did their controls, it was a totally different thing. Can I? Oop. There we go. There we go. Okay. Let's knock this bridge down. Nope. Off by a little bit. Okay, we need precision control for the glitch. Okay, that would last like 5 minutes. That's okay. I would last like 5 minutes playing this. No, you wouldn't. You'd be great. You'd be great. Don't overconcern yourself. Nope. Come on. There we go. And under we go. There we go. We got this, but it froze. Okay. I was like, I'm almost. Oh, we got that case. There we go. Save that. We're good there. Okay. Let's try this again. That was beautiful. Well, we lost our shield. I don't know if we know a store that has it. Okay. Right here. And then I aim over here. Boom! There we go. Awesome. Now, can we not die again? You guys saw none of that. I did that perfectly. Okay. Awesome. Let's kill these before they kill us. Oh yeah, it's one of those hand things. Woo, that could have been bad. Didn't really need money, but okay, I'll take it. Didn't want to talk to Navi, I wanted to look up, make sure I wasn't running into bats. No, okay, we're good. No, we're not. Can I get it from this side? No, I only can get hurt from this side. Okay. We're gonna continue going over then. And I don't think I can? I don't recall how this works. Yes, I can. Never mind. Die. Look left, look right, die. Okay. How many rear downside? You know what? No, it isn't, because we can drop the bridge. We're good. Oh, yes, it is, because we can't enter. Because the only way you can enter... Or can we? I don't recall if it's open or not. I guess we can. Okay. Okay. This game hates us. This game hates us. I think next time I'm going to try to play on a different core engine. See if that's able to handle it better. Of course, we did save after we died. So I believe everything should be good still. We got one key. I think we could find another key. See, that's what I dislike with random keys, is because if all the keys are in the right place, like right now, okay? If all the keys were actually put in the right location and I used it on the one door, I could actually lock this dungeon for me forever. And I don't know if the logic's written to handle that. I would hope so, but I don't know. The bat can't hurt me. I am an invincible force. Apparently the bat got bored. And the game's like, I have no clue where to put you. Can we just stop this? If it doesn't one more time before the stream ends, I'm going to personally choose a different core, and we're just going to deal with whatever graphics and other issues could occur. Because it crashing like that is just so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Ridiculous. Me not having a shield is ridiculous as well, but... Okay, we need to do two things here, and let's just do them. We need to run over here, grab this fire, hit this one, chest drops, I get burned. I can't kill the bat in time, but that's fine. Open this chest. Get a beautiful sword. Dang it. Okay. Okay. Apparently Link didn't want to aim upwards at those strikes. Nope. There we go. Okay. There we go. Let's get the Scorchula and let's call it a... That's not the Scorchula. That's the Scorchula. Okay. And before the game freezes again, save. Okay, let's go in the lower tunnel here. We do have a key, so technically we can open the key, or open the door up. The question is like, are we gonna have a key later? But who knows? I'm gonna go with the bet we were all. Like, there's a lot of things on this, beyond this door. Like him. He was beyond this door. And him. He was beyond this door as well. And there's a Scorchula behind us that we can get. I think there's 2 chests in here that we can get. Hey, look, we got our shield back. It just came in, just took a little while. Whoopsie. Forgot to put the knife. We didn't get any new items now. Okay. Get that one. Get that one. There we go. He didn't give us anything. He's not nice. There's one chest, and I think when I hit... Oh no, there's the other chest. Okay, so we have both chests. Let's see what's in here. Another heart piece. Lovely. That makes 3 so far. And we lose health. Okay, and I believe... I just place it there. Yep. Awesome. Boom. Scary face. But doors open. Okay. Can I lock? Nope. I want to lock. There we go. I'm stuck in a wall. Thank you. Okay, now we can continue. Now, if I remember right, I think there's something up here we need to do. I don't know if I put free Scarecrow song on or not. I mean, it doesn't help us much right now. We're gonna have to come back here to do that, but... Yep, I put them on. Awesome. There's him, but we can't get to him. Which that sucks. Okay. That's just so I don't have to play the song every time. There we go. Now we can get back up here. Is there something down here though? Pretty sure I can climb back up. Yeah. Nothing. Nothing good. Ow. Okay. I think I need dense file for that. Or I could try to be really scared. Do you guys want to see me try to be really scared? Try to drop file all the way down to here. I might be able to do it. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try at least once. See how scared I am. Because we got fire here. They are right there. There's nothing really stopping me from grabbing a stick, jumping, rolling. Pro player here, just to tell you. Pro player. I hope you realize that, guys. That I'm gonna clip, and I'm gonna definitely keep an archived version of that. That was insane. I was like, there's nothing stopping me. If I remember, up here is either, yeah. I think there's a pretty strong boss coming up. Whoa. Let's not just jump into oncoming combat. Okay. Dead. Dead. Get this one. Jump over. Okay. Time this right. Done. Scary face that we're gonna have to light up. There we go. I can't remember which order these do. I just do them in this order. Okay, like that. Let's go get our stick. Okay, I think there's an inner one. No, there's one here. Dang it. I messed this up, didn't I? Okay. Oh, there's the inner one. Okay, I was like, I'm pretty sure there was 3. There we go. There we go. And only because we're already here, let's do this because I think the chest is on that side. Let's make scary face smile. Scary face. He's smiling. Nope, come on. Jump up. Get up. There we go. Another heart piece. Gosh. We chose the right place to be. Okay. But you know what we don't have? Oh, he might be the answer. Let's see. Are we gonna have to go back and do this? We're gonna have to go back and do this, guys. But that's 5 heart pieces. We have 5 heart pieces. That's incredible. And I don't know why I'm leaving because we're gonna have to go back to the normal area. So left, right, 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 down, down. Left, right, 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 down, down. We're gonna buy these 99 things. Please be daytime. Please be daytime. Nope, it's nighttime. So we're gonna most likely wait until it's daytime. I'm gonna push it. We're gonna go up to the cavern and defeat the last lord. We're gonna get the next medallion and then we're gonna call it quits. But I think we're progressing very well. We also can go all the way up to the Fire Temple, get another fairy fountain. My mind keeps slipping. I know there's 4 fairy fountains. You don't, no. Oh yes, so you go back to the one twice, okay. I was like, my mind always slips. I'm always like, I know there's 4, but I don't recall where the 4th one is. It's because you go back to it. It's not a unique place. I'm almost certain we've done everything here. I try to make this my second stop every time. You know what we can do now, though? We can go up here and get ourselves another thing. Maybe it's with a song, maybe it won't. Who knows? Oh no, we can't. We teach him the song right now, and we don't know the song, so never mind. Okay. Up the mountain we go. Well, actually, we're not going to go up. We're going to go in. Oh, I'm rolling it. It's the character moves faster. Technically, the fastest way to move is back, or not back. I don't actually know about backflipping. I've never tried that. The fastest way I know of moving is backwards running. But you can't see where you're going, so it's one of those hit or miss kind of things. Actually, I think we got scrub that we can buy something from real quick. I believe. Nope, we already bought stuff from him. We might have to go back here and I might have to actually professionally clean this. Or I need to go back and watch my previous stream and see where we are. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I might have to go back and watch my previous stream to see if I actually cleaned this place or if we haven't. I know we got far enough where I could open up the eyes and actually continue. And I would try something, but we got bombs, so why try something when you can just, yep. Good thing it didn't drop us off. Dang it. So we haven't finished Saints Row yet. We're gonna most likely get back to it. Right now, the black one's actually doing something personal, so that's why he's not on the stream. Yeah, so we haven't finished it. You're not missing anything. We just haven't gotten around to it again. I try to keep a list of things that I'm going to do. Sadly, I don't know if it's sadly or not, but the black one kind of is a little bit more freeform. So, that was something up there, but okay. I have to drop the bomb here. But yeah, you're not missing anything. We got so many hearts, it's ridiculous. And freeze to death. Okay, thanks. I be waiting for Saints Row to tell him that. To tell him what? I don't know what you're wanting to tell him, but if you definitely want to tell him, he actually streams more often than me, and I don't have his link, but I'm pretty sure if you went to the Saints Row one, it has a link to his Twitch. He tries to stream about this time, Monday through Friday. Thank you. Okay, we actually didn't get anything there. So this pot first, I think. And then, come on, fairy. Fairy. But if you want, you can tell me and I'll tell him. This is really calming music for this dungeon. Do, 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 do. There we go. Awesome. Continue on our way. Okay, let's open up this chest real quick, see what we get. That's perfectly fine for me. Drop this. And only because I'm on a stream, I'm gonna try to do... Nope, I messed up. Well, I proved it. So when you fall, it actually does organize you correctly. Because I came in sideways and it put me backwards. I didn't know if that was the case or not. And out of the way. That was all my bad. Okay, one more. Nope. No! No! Okay, two more. I really hate how Link can't just... Really? You're not gonna face me? Okay. Okay. We'll go this way. There we go. I really wish Link could, like, unsheath his sword without swinging it. But... Oh yeah, it's a wicked looking monster, and when you're playing this for the first time and you actually don't know how many hits he has, like, it can be a difficult creature to do. Okay, what did we get? Scorchula! Awesome. You know what would have been really funny? Didn't give us anything, it gave us ice. That would just be great. Okay, so we got the stone. Right, that's good. I don't think we got any new items. Okay. I want to do one last thing before we do this. Actually, I want to do two things. And killing this guy is not one of them. I just want to not be interrupted. Ooh, a key. I was about to say, a key to the desert. The game wants me to keep going. Nah. Almost done. I just want to see what we get for having 20 Scorchulas, and then the stream will be over. Actually, I'm going to prolong that just a bit. I just want to have verification if I've done everything here or not. If I've done everything, that guy on the roof would have been hit. If I haven't, then I need to remember and go back and do all that. Yep, okay, I did everything here. Now what really sucks is I'm going to be in the desert, which means I'm going to be in the Temple of Time when we start next time, but hey. He's been loafing out on his brothers. He had a piece to break the curse this entire time. He's like, I'm gonna get saved first. I'm gonna get saved first. Make sure I saved it. And that is the stream for today. Sure. Let's see all what we have. So we actually got a portion of the fire stuff done. We got the map for the forest. Everything seems to be normal, which kind of sucks. But I'm kind of expecting fire, water, shadow, and spirit to all be master quests, and that's going to be horrible. But that's for another day. I hope you all have a good upcoming weekend. The next stream is going to be Sunday between 6 and 8 or 7 to 9. Haven't decided which yet. But either way, have a great day. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.